Welcome back to LimQ Plus, everyone. On this channel, I'm 100%ing Breath of the Wild by a bit every day until the sequel Tears of the Kingdom comes out, which is today in 76 days. I want to talk about something today that I've been discussing on my stream just yesterday. Obviously, keep in mind, I'm going through the 100% speedrunning route, so we might come across Korok seeds that I've already obtained. This is an obvious thing, because the beginning of this playthrough was basically just going through the game. Also, one thing that I'm actually just going to start doing is I'm just going to do a lot of square first wind bombs. Not having the minimap makes those just so much more consistent. But the topic is gonna be linearity in Zelda games and how it could ruin or change Tears of the Kingdom. I was discussing Twilight Princess yesterday with some viewers on my stream, which is my second favorite Zelda game, but to be honest, I have only ever played it once. And a lot of people always tell me, oh, it's just not nostalgia. Twilight Princess kind of sucks, it's like very linear. And I said, maybe you're right, because when I recently played Skyward Sword for the first time, which I only played the HD version on the Switch. I never played the original. It came out at a time where I was kind of like in my edgy teenager years, and I didn't really care about video games, or at least I thought I didn't. It was probably mainly because my parents didn't really allow me to play as many video games as I wanted to. But I basically missed it. I played the HD version. I thought, oh man, the backtracking at the end, the linearity is kind of annoying. I ended up rating it like a 7 out of 10. Like, I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed some of the art, and I enjoyed the ending personally. But especially the backtracking later on, when you go back to all of the kingdoms and do some additional tasks, was kind of boring to me. And, wait, that's actually kind of funny. And I thought, yeah, maybe I do really have to replay Twilight Princess. What I remember liking about it so much is its dungeons, its bosses, kind of like the more edgy style of it. Link is probably his most edgy design they've ever made. And I thought he was really cool. I liked him a lot. I really like Midna, and even going back watching moments from the game, I always think Midna was such a cool addition to Twilight Princess, and I like her. Actually not the biggest fan of Twilight Princess Zelda. I guess you don't encounter her too much, you end up fighting her towards the end. Spoilers for like a 15-year-old game. But overall, all things considered, I remember it very fondly. Especially, again, some of the dungeon designs, the ones that really stick out to me is like the Temple of Time there. I thought was really cool. The boss fights were amazing, and I really liked it. And I thought the linearity back then didn't really bother me, right? But this might be because I haven't replayed the game. I don't own a Wii U. I probably don't have my Wii anymore. Like, maybe somewhere in the depths of my childhood home. But I honestly think I probably just don't have it anymore. And I haven't replayed it. But because of my nostalgia for Twilight Princess, I always thought linearity in general doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. I think it is a bad thing when it comes to replayability. If you don't have a lot of options when you want to replay a game and you have to do everything the exact same way, surely that sucks a bit more. I think games like Dark Souls in the past have at least made the approach where you can at least choose a different build, right? Maybe you played your first Dark Souls playthrough as a mage, and your second one you could have a heavy weapon or a bow and arrow. You could really change your experience by changing your class. In a game like Breath of the Wild or Zelda games in general, that's not really possible. You can self-oppose restrictions to yourself by saying, hey, today I'm only using bows, today I'm only using swords, today I'm only parrying before, attacking back, whatever. But I do think linearity would have hurt this game in particular. Obviously, this game was completely designed about being this open world. And I always said, potentially because of my nostalgia, I wouldn't mind a little bit more linearity in Tears of the Kingdom. And basically what I mean by that, and let me know if you agree with me or if you think, no, this would ruin the game. What I mean by that is kind of like the way that Elden Ring did it. I know I talk about Elden Ring a lot on this channel, and some of you don't like the game and are probably annoyed, but it just is simply my favorite casual game of all time. And when I say this, my casual playthrough of Elden Ring was my favorite casual playthrough of a game ever. This here, Breath of the Wild, is my favorite game, all things considered, but what Elden Ring did, I had never experienced before. And what they did, in terms of linearity, it's an open world game. You can basically go wherever you want in a way. What that means is there's specific areas of the game that you can only reach once you have progressed past a specific point. There is other ways to reach these areas early on, either through a very convoluted path or obviously through glitches, which we shouldn't count for that particular part. Also, let me double check if I'm still on track. I think I'm supposed to go technically over here and then over there. Basically, I think something like that Tears of the Kingdom could benefit from. How would they do that? Let's say, I talked about this in the past. When you find some of the vehicle parts, maybe you only find some of the vehicle parts in the game in specific dungeons through specific challenges, and you have to actually clear these challenges to get the vehicle parts to then maybe reach areas you wouldn't have reached before. I think what that would allow them to maybe scale difficulty and enemies in specific areas a little bit by saying, okay, this is a pretty difficult area because you can only reach this later on. I guess Breath of the Wild had a pretty cool system, this like hidden experience system, which is still a good idea. Unfortunately, like I always said, this was one of my complaints. I don't really think you notice that too much. This guy is still chasing me. You don't really notice that too much, in my opinion, casually, because the enemies changing is basically just them having more HP. And as you play the game more, that is not really an issue anymore. You have so many strong weapons that they basically are all like, they all like instantly die. But I basically think adding some sort of linearity, by for example saying this is really high Sky Island and you can only casually reach it by building a balloon. And you need to do certain things in the game to get this balloon together. I think that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think I'm a little bit biased as well. Obviously, we have no idea where the final boss fight for Tears of the Kingdom will take place, but let's just assume it would be in the castle again. Very, very small portion of me, very biased portion, really would like it if it wasn't like 20-minute any percent run again, where you like, I don't know, jump from some Sky Island and then you fall down and go to castle, get weapons and beat the boss. I know this game has this freedom, and obviously in any percent speedruns we abuse that quite a bit. A biased portion of me would like some sort of linearity, because not only, I said this in the past, right, but not only would this be cool for making a longer, maybe more interesting any percent run, but mainly this is actually even more important. This would actually be even more important to me. It would make it so that potential skips are much more interesting. In this game, skips usually mean skipping, let's say, Windblight Ganon. This is obviously something we already do. Oh god, that's gonna be interesting. Parrying here. This area, yeah. This area is actually one of those nightmares. Especially when the enemies have scaled up. In the speedruns, we literally ancient... okay. We literally ancient arrow all of these enemies in the area because it gets really overwhelming. There's a Guardian, the double White Book Hoblins. Usually there's Yiga spawns as well. And there's one specific Korok you have to get there. Obviously, once again. I'm also trying to make a point. So I should probably focus on one thing at a time. Make my point and then move on to actually getting the Korok seed and then leaving again. I completely forgot. What? I didn't get a... I guess it didn't actually collect the Korok. So the game didn't save a single time. Very interesting. Auto saves in this game, even though this is not master mode, can be a little rough. But let me just return there and try to remember the point I was even making. I think... I honestly don't even know what my point was at this point. Point. Right, I talked about the any percent run. Okay, if the game was a little bit more linear, I think it would add some cool potential for very interesting speedrunning skips. Think the barrier skip in Wind Waker, if you're familiar with it. Skips that are literally allowing us to reach areas early could, in my opinion, make for cool discoveries, challenge, and speedruns. And I completely acknowledge that this is a very biased take that many people will not agree with. Because they only care about the game casually, right? Okay, we're gonna get out of here as quick as possible. Let me actually quickly see. Oh, we're going to Mabe Village Ruins after this. Let me see if I can make my way out of here. Hello? Oh, a Blade Master and a Yiga Archer both spawned at the same time, really showcasing this lovely place in the game. Great. Okay, let's go over here. We need to discover the location for Mabe Village Ruins. As usual, I've been pretty busy catching up with the 100% speedrun route and actually getting our percentage numbers up here towards 75%, so my gameplay has suffered a little bit recently, I will admit. But the entire point and discussion that I wanted to kind of start today is, am I biased? Does linearity in Zelda games suck? Do I just remember it fondly from Twilight Princess? And am I unjustified in saying that I want it back a little bit for specific reasons in Tears of the Kingdom? Or is that valid? Do some of you agree with this? I think you can go for a really healthy mix where, yes, the game is dungeons and some progression, but you can tackle the progression in any way you want it to. I think Elden Ring did it best by having multiple areas of the game available, but basically letting you choose which ones you want to tackle first, and then still having the feeling of reaching like a quote-unquote late game area. I think stuff like that is still cool. I guess you could argue that stuff like Hebra in this game is more like a late game area, mainly because there's so many major tests of strengths there. That's some inherent scaling that the video game has. And then a lot of this game was obviously tackled by, depends on how much you've done before. This is something I talked about in a video on my main channel. The blights, for example, secretly scale with which other blights you've done first. And enemies obviously scale up the more content you've done. But I think going kind of like this middle route could be cool for Tears of the Kingdom, but let me know. Maybe I'm willing to admit that potentially my Twilight Princess experience is just very nostalgic and biased. So I'm just really curious in your thoughts as well. Great. I finally managed to make my point while still playing the game at least a little bit. Gonna make my way over to these apple trees and get probably the final Korok of the day. Let's see, 75.52% would get us to 74.6. That should set me up to at least easily reach 75% tomorrow and officially start the last quarter of the run. These Blade Masters are running wild today. There's a lot of these trees here. Some of them baiting to be a Korok location. Oh, okay. I already got this one, so it doesn't count. I guess we gotta continue playing just a tiny bit more. We did the matching tree ones. The next one would be a rock circle over on the other side. Okay, we can do that one. Let me get rid of the Octorok though, the worst enemy in this game. Hopefully they don't come back. Let's go. Or not go, because I did the same mistake I talked about earlier by trying to do a normal wind bomb in a game mode where normal wind bombs are basically a coin flip. Because I don't see the minimap. Actually, you know what? Let me try something. Nah, this would just look bad. I was thinking, what if I do turn on the hut? But then it just looks like really weird. Like this entire look looks just like really weird at this point. I mean, if you're watching it at this point, let me know how weird this looks. I could always... nah, I think it just looks weird. Like it looks kind of... Some people already think the black bars look weird, which I can see, but I just kind of went for this look for the channel. Giving it a little bit more of a cinematic look. But I think the random black bars come like together with half cut of hut. I don't think that's the play. Anyway, there should be, hopefully, unless I also have gotten this Korok seed. Nope. A Korok seed in a rock circle kind of over in this location. There should also be some bears there. It's always nice to see the bears. A rare sight in this game. Some people, when I stream these days, still did not know that you can actually ride bears in this game. Maybe you also didn't know that you could ride bears in this game, but you can. And there's usually a consistent bear spawn right here at this cave, which is not where the Korok seed is, but let me prove my concept. See? It's real. I'm assuming a lot of you already knew this, but yeah. You cannot register them, unfortunately, just like many of the unique mounts in this game, but it's fun. Anyway, this should be a safe spot to end of today's episode. 74.6% completion at this point. Getting close to the final quarter, which should begin officially tomorrow. And tomorrow... Wait, that's actually perfect, because tomorrow, Tears of the Kingdom comes out in 75 days. It's almost like I planned that. That's where we will be hitting the 75% completion as well. Thank you, as always, for listening to me rant and play the game poorly more recently, because I've been so focused on finding Koroks and talking to you. I hope you apologize. If you actually want to see solid gameplay, check out my Twitch stream when I actually focus on speedrunning the game. As a little bit of an excuse. But appreciate you all. Thank you for watching, and I will see you tomorrow.